What's happening, Dat Nation? Welcome into another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. This time, we are in the great city of New Orleans. Thank you so much for your support. I just wanted to take a quick second to say I really appreciate all of the support and all of the love y'all have given us here at Saints Now over the course of the football season in the past few years. Because of all of that, the bosses decided to reward us by sending us out to the Super Bowl in New Orleans this week. We're going to be doing all sorts of unique coverage and content that we don't typically get to do in Dallas, Texas. So I hope you guys are excited for today's video. I hope you guys are excited for all of the content this week. It's going to be a really exciting week. So just wanted to give you guys a friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing all sorts of different content. We're going to be going up and down Bourbon Street. You're going to be talking to fans of the Eagles, of the Chiefs. If I see some Saints fans, we're going to be asking them the hard-hitting questions, and we're going to see what you guys have to think. And, of course, it's going to be a great time. So, reminder, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 41,000 subs today. I need less than 100 for me to hit my goal. Alrighty, so really quick, we have a PR nightmare here in New Orleans. This picture right here just kind of encapsulates what it means to be a Saints fan ever since Drew Brees and Sean Payton era has ended. It's just nonsense. I'm sure you've seen it on social media. I'm sure you've seen it on the news. We're going to break it down here in just a second. But to add context to the situation, let's just take a step back in time real quick. So Tom Pelissero reporting that the Saints and the Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, they were scheduled to meet again after the Super Bowl, which for the record is the right decision. I don't think that there, leading up to this report, has been any hiccups in anything. I don't think that there's any issues between Moore and the Saints. I think this is just the formality. And, it's because under NFL rules, the sides can't speak again until February 9th. So obviously, the Saints are trying to play by the rules here and not get hit with any tampering issues, because clearly they have some issues to deal with. We're going to break it down in a second. But, Mickey Loomis, he went on to inform other candidates, hey, this is what we're doing. We're not going to be sitting around making a decision here. Just so y'all know, we're waiting. This is very clear, and it very clearly indicates that the New Orleans Saints are very high on Kellen Moore and that they're his first choice. But you wake up and you see this. And not good. It's not good, Jim. No matter how you spin it, no matter how you try to discuss it, the optics of this are absolutely atrocious. So we're going to just kind of go through everything. Before we dive in here, Chip, just want to set the scene. Greg Bensel, the Saints and Pelicans chief PR man, and he's actually the vice president of communications, and he's had that role since 2006. He emailed Gail Benson in 2018 asking for permission to assist in crisis communications. In 2020, the team's involvement in helping with a scandal emerged through reporting in an effort to keep over 200 emails from being released to the public. Not good. So let's just go through what the Associated Press said here. As New Orleans church leaders braced for the fallout from publishing a list of predatory Catholic priests, they turned to an unlikely ally, the front office of the city's NFL franchise. What followed was a months-long crisis communications blitz orchestrated by the New Orleans Saints president and other top team officials, according to hundreds of internal emails obtained by the Associated Press. The records, which the Saints and church had long sought to keep out of public view, revealed team executives played a more extensive role than previously known in a public relations campaign to mitigate fallout from the clergy abuse crisis. The emails shed new light on the Saints' foray in a fraught topic from the gridiron, a behind-the-scenes effort driven by the team's devoutly Catholic owner, who has long enjoyed close relationships with the city's embattled archbishopship. So, all in all, basically the synopsis is a few years ago, there was a scandal that came to be. And then a couple years after that, turns out the Saints were involved in trying to cover everything up. And then fast forward to current day, they're actually more involved than what was initially believed. So no matter how you spin this, no matter how you talk about this, the optics are horrendous. This is not a good look. Outward looking in, as a fan, as a player, doesn't matter how you try to spin this, If I'm somebody that's, potentially going to be involved with an organization, especially as the head coach of that organization, why would I want to hitch my wagon to a possible really, really bad situation? Honest question, could this cause Kellen Moore to hit the pause button? Like, could we see Kellen Moore potentially not decide to be the Saints head coach? I mean, for what it's worth, I wouldn't blame him for going that route. I wouldn't want to take on this job. I mean, there's so many issues. Take away this scandal that is now, the millionth problem of the Saints this year? They don't have a clear quarterback situation. What's going to go on with Derek Carr? He doesn't have a long-term future here in New Orleans, and to be honest, he doesn't have a lot of good years left in the NFL as a whole. Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener have not been inspiring enough to commit to one of them to be your quarterback of the future. And on top of that, the salary cap is not a good situation. The roster has holes all over it. However, there's only 32 jobs in the National Football League to be a head coach. So for that reason, it may be just enough to keep Kellen Moore in the running. And for the New Orleans Saints head coaching search, they're going about this by the books. Adam Schefter joined the Pat McAfee show today, and he even said, pending any setbacks, barring any setbacks, any ridiculous, crazy developments like we have just gotten, barring any setbacks, you should expect to see Kellen Moore be the next Saints head coach. He's going to triple his salary. He's going to have a head coaching job in the National Football League, which is a highly coveted position to have. So, at the end of the day, the Saints are doing the things in terms of the head coaching search correct. Because if you go back in time, remember the last time the Eagles had a coordinator leave due to Super Bowl or making it to the Super Bowl and the success that they had in the season, Jonathan Gannon, things did not go well. The Cardinals got in trouble for tampering with Jonathan Gannon. They lost draft picks. The Saints are trying to avoid any further problems. And for a team who historically has, let's call a spade here, found themselves to have a history of bad things going on, either on the field or off the field, you got to follow the rules. You can't have any gray area. You can't give the NFL any more reason to punish you again, more than you already have been. So coming up, we're going to talk about Kellen Moore. And we're going to take kind of a positive outlook here because I don't want this video to be all negative. Because with Media Week and with Super Bowl Week here, there's some things that I want to see from Kellen Moore. And I want to see how Kellen Moore reacts and responds to certain things this week. So I'm going to dive into all of that here in just a little bit, but really quick. Got to give a shout out to Game Time, today's presenting sponsor. And guys, if you are looking for last minute tickets for the lowest price, even for the Super Bowl, you can get started with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, use code CHATSPORTS. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to make it easier to find better value for tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. So you can get tickets to the big game here at the Dome, Shaq's Funhouse, get tickets to there, LSU basketball, LSU baseball, Tulane sports going on, and then on top of that, the Pels. You can get tickets to them. You can see Burt Kreischer coming to town here pretty soon, and Jazz Fest as well. And then, of course, they have a plethora of other events all across the country. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the best ticketing app in the whole wide world. That is Game Time, and create an account and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Reminder that terms apply, but once again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to Game Time. All the information is in the comments and description of this video. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Alrighty, so the first thing that I want to see from Kellen Moore this week during Super Bowl Media Week and throughout just press conferences and throughout just coverage through the Super Bowl, I want to see how players and react to Kellen Moore, and more importantly, I want to see how Kellen Moore talks about his players. What does Kellen Moore have to say? Does he talk about the strengths? Does he talk about how easy he's made their job? Does he talk about how much he's schemed up the offenses? What exactly does he have to say about his players? Does he speak highly of them? He was a former player, so he understands how to communicate to players. He was very, very good as a quarterback at Boise State. Quarterbacks lead the locker room. So I think Kellen Moore has the leadership qualities, but I want to see what he has to say about his team. Because I think that can be indicative of things that he could say, and we could kind of prepare ourselves as Saints fans for how he could talk about the players on the New Orleans roster. Now, secondly, I want to hear what players have to say about Kellen Moore. Because I think that this is a very telling thing. If players have a high respect and say, oh my gosh, he makes my life so easy. This guy is a genius. He schemes up plays like nobody's business. If we hear Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown have high praises, I mean, I think that that's very, very good signs. Especially if by name they're shouting him out. If they're not saying, oh yeah, Nick Sirianni made our life so great, this, that, and the other with the defense. I mean, Kellen Moore made my life. Saquon Barkley says, I came to the Eagles because I wanted to find success. I wanted to compete for a Super Bowl. Kellen Moore gave me that ability. That is going to tell me a lot about Kellen Moore. I mean, if we can hear some more positive affirmations around him, I think that us Saints fans can find a really, really good comfort in having Kellen Moore be our head coach. And on top of that, we've already heard Nick Sirianni give Kellen Moore a lot of praises. So let's see what the players have to say. Now, on top of that, I want to see what leadership qualities he has. I mean, a very fair question and a very fair, I'm not going to say like knock on him, but a very fair assessment of his is that he isn't the rah-rah leader. He's not super loud and he's super vocal and whatnot. But, I want to find out, can Kellen Moore lead a locker room? He did it before as a quarterback at Boise State. He's done it as an offensive coordinator. He's climbed the quarterback rank or the coaching rankings, in the National Football League very quickly. Like, I want to see if Kellen Moore can command a locker room. Can he command the attention of media? Can he command and engage and have good things to say? Is he well-spoken? Does he have, and that doesn't mean that he's not going to be a good head coach if he doesn't, but I just want to know what to expect. I want to know what we should see walking in if Kellen Moore does get hired. Because I think ultimately he is going to be the next Saints head coach. So how is he going to be a leader? What has he learned in his tenure from being in Dallas, from being in LA, from being in Philadelphia? All three very different stops. I want to know what he's learned in those different situations. And lastly, I want to hear what the Kansas City Chiefs, what they have to say about the Eagles offense. I just want to know what opponents think about Kellen Moore. And I want to know what opponents think about Kellen Moore's offense. I mean, there was no mystery here. Dennis Allen was not a name that a casual NFL fan would hear and be like, oh, strikes the fear in me. Like, sure, he was a great defensive mind. He's a great defensive coordinator. No questions asked. But as a head coach, he was never the guy. He was not somebody who ever struck fear in an opponent. Can Kellen Moore do that? Do the Chiefs defense, do they understand that this is not an Eagles offense just to play around? This is not an Eagles offense that's just going to let you beat them up. They're going to come and fight. They're going to swing hard, and they're going to play their best game. They're going to come prepared. They're going to play physical. They're going to play their best game, and they're going to tailor to the skill set of their roster. So ultimately, I want to know what opponents think about Kellen Moore's offense because, hey, if people think that he has a good offense, then Saints fans, he's got a good offense. If the general NFL thinks that he is a smart mind, then guess what? You got a good head coach. So all in all, some bad news, some very ridiculous news for what it's worth, but then also just, some opinions, some takes, some just discourse about the team this week and what to look for as you're seeing all these clips on social media and as you're seeing things surface on YouTube and on the internet. But I want you guys to sound off for me in the comment section. If you want Kellen Moore to be the head coach, just give me a hoot at in the comment section. And friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel. A lot of fun content coming for you, especially on my social medias and on the channel. Thank you so much, Dat Nation, for tuning in. Y'all stay golden, and we will see you next time.